Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Father.
I have received a comment that my voice medyo manipis ang boses ko, kaya tinanggal ko yung maskara. And I put my mouth closer to the microphone so my voice gets heard by everyone. Quite monotonous, and my voice is quite soft, so I beg pardon for that. Yung kwento natin sa mga pagbasa nagpaalala sa akin sa dalawang bagay. Una, yung kwento ni Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol, about Ebenezer Scrooge na binisita ng tatlong multo, the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future. At nang siya ay binisita ng tatlong multo, natakot siya, at ang bunga ng kanyang pagkatakot na bonggang-bonggang takot ay nagbagong buhay. Ito'y hindi sinasangayunan ng Ebanghelyo sapagkat sinabi nang nakiusap walang pangalan tong mayaman eh. Yung salitang Dives, hindi pangalan yan. Ibig sabihin niya na mayaman. Pero si Lazaro pinangalanan at bibigyan pansin natin mamaya kung bakit at anong kahulugan nito. Na nakiusap itong mayamang tao na kung pwedeng bumalik at upang mapaalalahanan ang mga kapatid niya. Sinabi ni Abraham na hindi pwedeng lumiban sa kabilang ibayo, magmula dito sa Hades o kaya sa langit. Pero yung kwento ni Charles Dickens, yan ay isang kwento lamang, hindi yan leksyon sa ating pananampalataya. Pero binibigyang pansin ko sapagkat meron akong gustong ipaalala sa lahat. At ang isang naalala ko ay ang nangyari noong nag-announce si Putin ng mobilization. Ang sabi niya sa mass media ay partial mobilization. Pero meron palang isang paragraph na hindi sinasabi sa media na binigyan niya ng kapangyarihan ang anumang ahensya ng gobyerno niya, gobyernong kunyari ay gobyerno sapagkat siya lahat ang nasusunod, na magkalap at kumuha ng kahit hanggang sa 1,000,000 sundalo. Nung narinig ito ng mga Ruso, ayan, nag-alisan, nagbilihan ng ticket patungong Turkey, patungong Georgia, at kung saan sila pwedeng pumunta kasi bawal na sila sa ibang bahagi ng Europa. Yung $350 na ticket hanggang Georgia, overnight ay naging $2,700. At yung patungo ng ibang bansa na pwede nilang bilhin ay kahit hanggang $27,000. Noong pinapasabog nila ang Mariupol at pinapatay ang mga babae at matatanda at mga bata, at pinasabog ang mga ospital at mga orphanages, wala ni isa sila ni gaputok na angal ay walang narinig sa kanila. Palakpakan pa sila at panalo ang Russia at nahihirapan ang Ukraina. At ngayon sila ay tinatawagan upang lumaban, biglang naging anti-war. Biglang naging non-violent people who'd say no to war. What an encounter could mean. That means change. Nang makita ni Ebenezer Scrooge ang tatlong multo, siya ay napuno ng takot at nagbagong buhay. Pero takot ang dahilan. And when you act out of fear, then you act like the Russian deserters who suddenly all become anti-war because they don't want to die, like Cannon Fodder in the field of war. Such is the selfishness of people, including me and you. And today, I'd like to talk about this and make a contrast between Lazarus and the rich man. Si Lazaro ang pinangalanan ng Ebanghelyo. Si Lazaro ang puno at dulo ng kwento ng Panginoon. It has nothing to do with condemning rich people. It is not about communism versus capitalism. It is not about Marxist class struggle. It is not about the rich against the poor. It's about Lazarus, the poor man, who, being poor, only had God as his riches. And he was helped by God in no small measure, and that is the meaning of Lazarus, a derivative of Eleazar, which means the one whom God helps. Dives, the rich man, of course, was not brought to hell because he was rich. And Lazarus didn't go to heaven because he was poor. The rich man went to hell not because of being rich, because the Scriptures never condemned the rich. Scriptures never said that money is the root of all evil. It just says the love of money is the root of all evil. Lazarus comes across to us as a model of trust, a model of humility, and the mere fact that he was thrown, the original word used by Luke means inecha fuera. I used this word about 2 weeks ago. Echar fuera in Spanish means to throw out, sipain. Hindi lang siya nakalupasay, sinipa siya palabas ng pinto ng bahay na magara ng mayamang taong ito. Sa madaling salita, si Lazaro ay larawan ng kung sino man sa atin ngayon na ini-small, binabaliwala, hindi pinapansin, hindi pinahalagahan, walang kapangyarihan. Yung pinapasabugan ng mga artillery ng mga Ruso, mga matatanda na wala nang tatakbuhan, mga senior citizen, matanda pa sa akin, na walang ibang pupuntahan. Iyon ang pinapasabog nila because he wants to instill fear and destroy the backbone of a nation that he does not even recognize to be a nation. He doesn't even use the word Ukraine. The Russians call them kokols, derogatory term. They call them rats, cucaracha, cockroaches. They have no right to exist. This is the language of dictators. This is the language of dictatorial regimes. Yan ang paniniwala ng mga taong 21 taon nang namumuno. And when you are in power for more than 2 decades, you think you are God-sent. And there is that Patriarch Kirill, who was a former KGB agent who blessed the war, because being a former KGB agent and one of the oligarchs made rich by this dictator, he has no choice but to bless the war and send them to Ukraine in the name of God, to kill people in cold blood in God's name. My dear friends, let's get our facts straight about the gospel. Una, si Dives ay hindi masamang tao. Hindi siya nanlamang, hindi siya corrupt, hindi siya nandaya, hindi siya pumatay ng tao. Okay? So good for Dives. Number 2, he did not go to Hades because he was rich. Nasabi ko na. At si Lazaro ay hindi pumunta sa langit sapagkat siya'y mahirap. Pero ang ikatlo ang matindi. At diyan tayo papasok. He was complacent. The first reading from Amos told us, woe to the complacent in Zion. Woe to those who are wapakels. Woe to those who are not concerned. Walang pakialam kung namamatay ang mga taga-Ukraina. Walang pakialam kung 3 buwang umuulan sa Pakistan at binaha pati mga disyerto. Climate change. Walang pakialam, pero may pakialam tayo kasi kahapon natakot kay Carding. Walang masyadong namasyal sa Tagaytay. Walang masyadong tao sa mall. Akala nila kahapon darating si Karding ang bagyo. Pero nandyan pa. Wala tayong pakialam. Ang tawag dyan ng mga social scientists ay pornography of grief. We see too much explosions. We see too much Steven Seagal movies. And by the way, Steven Seagal sides with Putin. He's like Putin. And he's in Russia because he doesn't like Americans. Well and good for him. He came from there. He's an American, a fake one, who came from Eastern Europe. And now he is siding with the dictator. So, he was complacent. He was neglectful. He was scornful. Araw-araw dinadaan niya si Lazaro na namamaho sa sugat, sa mga galis, at namamatay sa gutom. He just lacked care. He ignored Lazarus. Being echado fuera, he didn't count. So ano na ngayon para sa atin? What now? What is it for you and me? A Christmas Carol may be a good morality play, the story of Charles Dickens, but it's not Christian message of good news. We are not supposed to change our ways because we are afraid, but because we have encountered someone who is the cause of our joy, the cause of our striving, the real reason why we are here and why we were born and why we became human, created in the image and likeness of that same God. Christians do not listen to ghosts. Kaya kita niyo bumagsak ang real estate business sa China kasi walang incheck ang gustong bumili ng lumang bahay. Ang dami nilang mga superstition kasi ang lumang bahay may multo at mayroong bad luck. And so they were all buying houses that weren't built yet. And Evergrande started building millions and millions of units, and they all sold out like hotcakes. And then the real estate business collapsed. And their money is all gone. Kaswapangan, walang kahihinatnan. Conversion does not come from fear. Holiness has to do with managing time. Our past, our present, our future. The gospel is not a story of struggle between communists and capitalists. Yung mga komunistang walang ginawa kundi mag-rally. Pare-pareho naman ang kanilang mga one-liner na sinisigaw. It is not about the poor against the rich. It's about poor and rich who are neglectful. It's about you and me who couldn't care less. It is not a quarrel between the poor and the rich, but whether poor or rich, the important thing is whether we have TLC. Hindi tender loving care yan, pero pwede na. Ano ang TLC? Take heed, listen, and care. If you don't take heed, if we don't listen, if we don't do in accordance with what we listen to and hear, and if we don't care, then the story of the rich man might well be our own final chapter. But the good news is that we are still given time, because this time present is the time of salvation. Repeatedly in Scripture, we heard, now is the time. Now is the time of salvation. Not Christmas past. Not the Christmas ghost of Christmas present. Not the ghost of Christmas future. It's N-O-W, now, not tomorrow.